from White Feather Wellness. I am so happy to be here today talking about this particular subject because it's very dear to my heart. I love Hawaii. I lived there many, many years, decades, and I learned something called Ho'oponopono. So some of you have probably heard about this. It's an ancient Hawaiian healing process. It's a problem-solving and peacemaking process. And when I started studying Chinese medicine, and in particular Donna Eden's energy exercises and that practice, I realized that there's a correlation. There is, whether it's Native American, Native Hawaiian, Chinese medicine, Tibetan medicine, there's a thread that goes through them. So all these indigenous cultures use these methods in order to find balance and peace. So Ho'oponopono means to make things right. Pono means right. So making things right, which is essential when there's problems, and there are always problems. I mean, traditionally, Ho'oponopono is used with families, communities, because people live together and there were always issues. And here's an example. I was trained by a kahuna, Lanakila Brandt, and Auntie Mona on the Big Island. Those are my two primary teachers in the very beginning who I worked very closely with and studied two different kinds of Ho'oponopono. The first one is the traditional process of peacemaking. So here's an example. When a child is sick, let's say in a village, and this is true, a child was sick and wasn't getting better. So the elder of the family said, all right, everyone, let's get together. We need to sit down and pule. Pule means pray. So they would gather everybody together and they said, this child is sick. We need to find out what is not pono in our family and in our larger community. So this is not just the parents and the children and grandparents, it's the cousins and the aunties and the uncles. So they would bring them all together and one by one, everybody got to share. So some of you have heard about this process and that there's 4 different sayings or phrases that you use. So, but first of all, the problem needed to be acknowledged. So let's say Auntie Kainoa would say, or Uncle Kainoa would say, well, I'm mad at you because you stole my pig. You never return them. So he's like upset, but he was holding it in. And so that other, Maku would say, well, I thought it was a gift. I misunderstood. So you see, there was a misunderstanding between these two family members. He said, oh, no problem. I'll return your pig. And he would return the pig. And he said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So it's a forgiveness process, saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And of course, in some way of the conversation, there'd be mahalo, thank you, I love you, from my heart to yours. So this was, and it wasn't always easy. Forgiveness is not, we hold grudges. This would take hours until sometimes you wouldn't forgive, but then you'd hear someone else in the family share and you'd say, I really did, ignore returning the pig. So you see, and what would happen is after everybody would share, and it's very, not complicated, but I'm not going to simplify it. It's a 7-step process. There are different things involved, which I won't go into. And I was doing this with at-risk youth. I worked at a high school, Konawaina High School, and I worked specifically with pregnant and parenting teenagers and at-risk kids. And oftentimes there was a rift between them and their parents, them and the father's parents. So one of my jobs was, after I learned this process, was to bring them all together to resolve the best way we could or problem solve so that we can make things right and everyone could communicate. Otherwise, they're all in court and it's not good. The energy is not good for the child. So that's how I learned it. And I practice it. After that, a couple years later, a PhD doctor, Dr. Hugh Lin, who you may have heard of because of this book. I'm not selling any books, but this is very interesting because I studied with this man, and he doesn't teach anymore individually with people or in groups, but this was 25, 28 years ago or something. And his story is really well known. And that's why Joe Vitale wrote this book, is because he heard of this doctor who was working in a state mental institution for the criminally ill, the criminals who were mentally ill, and they did the most heinous things. And they hired him and said, can you work with our inmates? And because people are quitting and there's a lot of sickness, and they knew something was not pono, wasn't right. And Dr. Hughlin had studied with, Mona Simeona, that was his teacher. She was a teacher of traditional Ho'oponopono, as well as she was a Hawaiian healer. We call that, she was a kahuna, a kahu. And so I believe it began with her. So this was not the traditional family peacemaking. It was the individual peacemaking. Now, what does that mean? Well, you always have yourself, no matter your relationship with your families. One of the biggest challenges we have is our relationship with ourselves. And this is called SITH. It's called Self-Identity Through Ho'oponopono. And the whole process, I learned this from him, and he studied with her. He kept walking out of her workshop saying, doesn't make any sense intellectually. I'm a trained PhD psychologist. I'm not going to say these words. That's not going to do anything. And literally, he kept walking out of these weekend workshops. Third time, it stuck. He kept being drawn back. And so he learned this, and he was resistant because of his medical background, but he learned it. He got the job at the state mental institution. And you know what he did? He stayed in his office the whole time, and he had his folders of all the inmates stacked up to here. And all day long, all he did was read them. And they call it, instead of clearing energy, it's cleaning. You're cleaning it. And he would say these simple things: I love you, thank you. Yes, you did this horrible thing. You did that horrific thing. But he looked at the inmates as children, really, that were broken, that had these subconscious programs from childhood, trauma. We all have experienced some level of trauma in our lives. And so they were being run by their programs. And any therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist who talks about this will talk about the subconscious programs. And I believe up until age 7, we get a lot of it then. And so a big part of this process, the personal Ho'oponopono, is about cleaning those and clearing and releasing the blocks to those limiting self-beliefs that drive us, because we're driven by our programs. That's where our fear, our anger, our resentment, we can't let go. So these emotions are all connected to, in Chinese medicine, to our organs. They're all connected to the seasons. They're all connected to a color. That's why I had my prayer flag up here, which is a Tibetan prayer flag. But these colors represent the organs and the seasons, and the emotions. This is what I love, is that there's consistency between these practices, these ancient indigenous practices with Chinese medicine and what I'm teaching my students. So we're going to talk about, I won't go in too much with the Ho'oponopono, and the very simplest and the only practice I can teach you is the I love you, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive you. I can teach you that. And everything else I'm not allowed to teach. But there's many workshops, and I would study with, there's lots of people out there teaching it, and really the ones who are allowed are the kahus, the kahunas, the spiritual medicine people of Hawaii, and it's passed down. So there's a lot of sacredness to this. But if you look at SITH, SITH, and you go on that, you go online, you'll find those workshops. And I've done several of them in the past 10 years, because it's a constant process. It's not like you do a forgiveness process for yourself or even your ancestors, because these things are passed down. So as I do the cleaning for myself, from my programs, where do my issues come from, right? We all have different issues, but I think there's some common ones, like I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I don't succeed in this, or I can't achieve. Well, this it's connected with self-worth most of the time. Our issues with money are really about self-worth. Are we worthy? So that's a snapshot of the Ho'oponopono. But I will say one more thing. When I started learning this, we talked about, you've all heard about the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. There's many different ways, in psychology of saying that. In Ho'oponopono, it actually lives in your body. The subconscious is here in your na'au. It's in your gut. It's the inner child. And that's where the memories are stored. The inner child is holding on to all those blocks, all those programs. And then the uhane is like here. It's, your conscious mind. And it's the mother. It's in this practice. It's the mother that needs to really embrace the child, you, the child. And then the amakua is like spirit. And that's your spiritual guidance. So there's a step in order to clear those programs so that inspiration can come down from creator, from source. And when we're working from inspiration, and it's like being in the flow, everything flows. So how do we release these emotions? And I won't call them negative. I will call them uncomfortable. And again, we're running from our programs. If we experience something in childhood where we have fear, then it's interesting how if you had a relationship with your father that, he wasn't kind to you, you might attract partners, male partners that are not kind to you because you're running from your programs. Okay, so I'm going to talk now, getting into, that's a basic introduction to Ho'oponopono. Now we're going to switch over to what I learned in Eden Energy Method. It's called the Eden Method now, Eden Energy Medicine, the work of Donna Eden. So that's when I really got an understanding about the 5 elements, which she calls the 5 rhythms. And I love rhythms because it's about everything is in motion. And so energy is in motion. But the 5 elements, so I'm going to go through those now. We're going to start with the heart. So, and everything is connected, like the heart is connected to the emotion of, one of them is panic. When you're panicked, your heart starts to pound. So it's the season of summer and the element of fire. So as you see the colors, that'll really help. Red is fire, all right? And then there's a whole personality. I'm a partly fire. I pop, and I'm just very spontaneous, and I'm very social. So everything is connected with these 5 rhythms. I'm going to call them rhythms instead of elements, but they're also in Chinese medicine elements. And then we're going to go through a healing process for this, very simple. So another one, and it's interesting, in Chinese medicine, there's like a wheel, and it's all connected to where your organs are. So this is the heart over here on your left side, and you can touch your left side. Now over there, your spleen is on the side, your stomach is kind of left of center, and then your pancreas. Just put 2 hands here, okay? So a big part of this process, which I've meshed, I've fused for myself, the working with the 5 elements, the Qigong healing sounds, and the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono process for healing and for clearing or cleaning those programs. Everything is lodged in our body. So we have emotions, we have reactions, we have beliefs, and those things all outpicture certain issues that happen in our body. For instance, I had a very good friend I worked with at Pierce College. She was a yoga teacher, and I was teaching dance and other things, energy, medicine, exercises. She died. I knew she quit working, and then she died of liver cancer. And I couldn't figure it out. She was a vegan. She didn't drink. She didn't do drugs. And, I didn't know her that well, but I know that there might be some suppressed anger, because when these organs are out of balance, when the heart's out of balance, you're going to have more panic, anxiety. When the spleen and stomach are out of balance, you're going to have more worry. So that's the element of earth. And then also it's about, if you're a mother, and you don't even have to be a physical mother, but if you love to take care of people, if you have so much compassion for others, this is out of balance when you are not having compassion for yourself, where you're putting yourself down, where you're not putting yourself first. And so you're taking care of everyone else. And then what happens is the spleen suffers, and that's connected to the fight-flight system. There's like partners of the organs, which you'll learn a little bit about. And so it gets drained, and it helps our immune system, so we get sick. So all of the organs are related to emotions. Okay, so we have panic, spleen and stomach, that's about worry. Now going down the wheel on my left side, that's where my large intestine is going out, the descending colon. So the large intestine is connected with the fall. It's connected with yellow is the color of earth. That is connected with the metal element or rhythm. And metals have certain, I love metals because they're very philosophical and very intellectual. And they're introspective, but also really good at figuring things out. Whereas an earth is like, oh, I'm so loving and huggy. The metals are like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. So that one has to do with grief. So the lungs are connected with grief. And then there's different emotions along with that. It could be sadness, disappointment, regret, guilt. And who doesn't have any of those at one time? So that's when it's out of balance. So we want to keep these balanced. And that's why doing the sounds, the Qigong healing sounds, which are a part of this from Chinese medicine, and doing a movement, which is from Donna Eden's work, the rhythm, balancing the rhythms. And I add Ho'oponopono, which is the thought to clear the programs of what am I not letting go. So if you had an issue in childhood and you're upset about it, or even in adulthood, and everybody does, and we're not letting go of it, then I had some large intestine issues because I was holding on to a big grudge, and, sometimes my liver would not be happy, or gallbladder, because, those emotions, if they stay in our body, they're going to wreak havoc, or we're not going to be comfortable. We're not going to be as healthy as we could. I think I'm back live. Okay. All right. We were talking about grief, letting go. So the area of the lungs, I've been really focusing a lot on lungs since this whole thing started, where we get to really learn about ourselves, and we get to focus on what we're grieving about and feeling, maybe not letting go. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be introspective, to really look within. So that's why this is going to be so good for you if you do it. So moving down your kidney to the kidneys, and that fall turns into winter. So it's winter, it's connected with water, it's blue. Kidneys and bladder work together, and the emotion is fear. And then coming up to the side, there's our liver, okay, on the right, liver, gallbladder, they're partners. And again, it's that bitterness, it's that anger, it's that resentment. And people who are on a spiritual path, I'm talking me, not all people, somehow that turn the other cheek thing, I interpret it to mean, don't get angry, just turn the other cheek and rise above it. But the fact is that that anger stayed in my body, and it does. And now, Donna Eden's work taught me how to let it go. And it's so cool because I learned those sounds. And then when I started studying the healing sounds from Qigong, they're the same. So, and we're going to do exercises that you'll learn how to do these things. Okay, after the liver, and that has to do woods, it's wood. I'm a wood too. Woods are doers. They're fast. That's why I talk so fast. And I could blame it on my rhythm, my element. So, and the colors is spring. It's spring, so colors green. And then we're back up here. And with the heart, there's another one I want to talk about. It's called triple warmer. And they call it Sanjiao, Chinese medicine triple heater, but it's really what governs our fight-flight response. And right now, I'm really focusing on triple warmer work when I teach these exercises. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is do the sounds. I'm gonna show you a couple easy, we're gonna do the Ho'oponopono where we hold our organs and we say something, and do the sound. But first, what I'm gonna do is show you some exercises. I'm going to get more into this. I think this Friday we're talking about releasing different emotions. So I want to let's just start with the heart. And it's really quick, really easy. So go like this. Do you know that if you go like that, it's like an EFT. It's like touching all the points without, you're just doing this. My acupuncturist taught me that. All right. So your thumb is going to go here to the crown, here to the third eye, here to the heart, and down to the low belly, kind of like that. And there's sound for this one, for the heart, is ha. And when we do the Ho'oponopono, we're going to go ha. So it's more breathy. So we're going to quickly do this. It's going to do this all together. So in Eden method, it's called bringing down the flame. In my Qigong teachers talk to me a lot about this. We have a lot of energy in our head, a lot of energy in our heart. Well, strokes, heart attacks, when it's imbalanced, when this element's imbalanced. So we want to bring that energy down to low dantian, our unhepili, our storage. Dantian just means the storage tank for energy. Okay, so just raise your arms up over your head, put them together, take a breath in, touch the top of the head with a ha, breathe in. Touch the third eye with a ha. Breathe in. Thumbs to the chest. Ha. Inhale. Now put your thumbs and pinkies around your navel with a ha. Breathe in. Flatten your hands. Ha. Last one. Breathe in. Now sliding down and just hang your body. Just hang. Relax your head and neck, and then roll up. And you can do a little circle like this. Bring your arms up over your head and go twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. There's so many different things you can add. And I love about the Eden method is that you add, a lot of it's the intuitiveness. And I teach a Maha 9 class. Ma is Mother Earth, Ha is breath in Hawaiian, or the connection between heaven and earth. That's where I believe I get my energy from, and nature. So those areas, sources. And so anyway, I love that, we teach exercises, but I tell them to adapt it because things are evolving, and we are evolving our own beliefs as we raise our high vibration by clearing our programs. So that's for the heart. And I'm going to show you another one for the lungs because that's a big one that's up for people. All right. So just raise your arms out to the side. I'll swirl on my chair here. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a circle like this and bring your middle fingers close, but don't close them, and open. So the lungs need space to move. Everybody just do this. Chest out, chest back. So by doing that, you're curving your back like a cat-cow in yoga, and you're bringing more energy, creating space for the lungs to get energy. So raise your arms at the side. We're going to curve our chest back like we're holding a ball, and then we're going to open it up And let it out. Imagine you're holding all of your grief in a ball of love. And then you're opening, and I put my chest out, releasing it to the universe. Now we say the S sound. And inhale, let it go. So you do it a couple times, or you can do it as much as you want. Inhale, S again. Touch your middle fingers, cross your wrists over, and place your hands on your lungs. Now, in my classes, I do these movement classes, and I integrate a lot of this. I would tell them to say thank you, I love you to your lungs. So we do a quick Ho'oponopono healing and clearing for those emotions of grief, guilt, shame, regret. I like this too. Everybody take your hands, tuck them in your armpits, and put your thumbs up. You have a heart point in your armpit, and this is just really comforting for me. So if you're sitting around, you know what? The more you do these different exercises, which sometimes just means placing your fingers on your forehead, touching your heart, you're listening to your intuitive self, and your body is always talking to you. So the next exercise, that's for the heart. We're just going to do one more because fear is up for a lot of people. So the sound is like a choo-choo train. And you're going to take your, let me see, is that chew? No, that's kidneys is chew. Sorry. Wait. I get chew and who confused sometimes. Is the sound for if you put your hands on your stomach and your spleen, it's on the left side. So we're just going to go. So spleen, pancreas, and stomach. And just rocking. So like you're blowing out a candle. One more time. Okay, we're going to do more of these later. Place your hands on your kidneys. So kidneys are located above the waist. There's 2 of them. And I love this rocking motion. Rocking is soothing. It calms triple warmer, your fight flight. That's why, when you see someone bouncing their knee or, everybody, I've done it. If you put your heel up and just kind of bounce, it's because you're shaking off that adrenaline, and you're trying to calm. The triple warmer is trying to let go of energy. So putting your hands on your kidneys and just rocking. Don't worry about remembering these things. We're going to have a longer class for this with handouts and things like that. Okay, my favorite one to do is for the liver. It's shh in Chinese medicine, but I like going shh. It's like go away anger, frustration, irritation. It's always, I teach people to do this. Basically, you're holding it in your fists, and then you just kind of bring your arms up. And in my classes, we do more of a big swing because it's a movement class, and we're trying to really move your physical body to help some toxins get out and keep the joints warm. I believe it's really important to move. Okay, so just for now, you may be sitting, but make fists. So think of something that's been really frustrating for you, something you're upset about, or just irritated. Irritation happens all the time. So you're going to go like this, and you're going to throw your hands down, opening your hands like that. So bring your fists up. Inhale, up, 2 more times. Again. And that's the easy version. So, but basically, I'm wanting to teach you versions that are simplest to remember, because most of you are probably beginners. And if you're not, you can learn energy medicine from a lot of us practitioners. Okay, so if you're driving, it doesn't have to be a throwdown. Really, intention is the most important thing. So we're going to get ready to do the healing sounds with the organs. And all of this theory is really great, but I realize I have just so much information in my head. I've been training for 30 years, all this stuff and much more stuff. And I realize that the practice is really a lot more important for me than the actual knowledge. Knowledge is great, but unless you use it, and repetition is important. So that's why in my Maha 9 movement classes, I change the music and I change up the exercises, but we repeat specific things so that we move all the energies that are stuck. And then people learn it. So they later on will go, okay, I'm irritated. I'm really feeling sad. I'm going to do this. Okay, so the Ho'oponopono. Simply, by the way, drinking water is really, really important. All your cells are electric, they need it. Okay, so start with your heart. So just make sure if you're going to do this, there's, move to a room if you can, that there's no distraction, that it's quiet, because I want you to tune in. I want you just to put your hands on your heart. Connect with your heart. And heart is connected with the emotion of panic or anxiety. So think of a time when you were feeling anxious, or maybe you're feeling some anxiety now. So your organs respond to the emotions. So this is where I would use the phrase, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I reacted. I'm sorry that I didn't take the time and deep breathe and calm down. Please forgive me. You're telling your heart you're sorry. And then you say, thank you. Thank you for beating. Thank you for working 24/7 to keep me alive. I love you. And if you want to go further, and I would stay here for, 5-10 minutes, and I would just do. So when I'm saying the sound, when I'm holding the organ with the Ho'oponopono, thinking, I love you, thank you. Those two are the most important phrases. And so you may want to just that breathing. It's like sending a life preserver to your heart, to your organ. So with that sound. All right. So in practice, you would do this for longer, and I do it in bed. This actually, doing this process, not the Ho'oponopono, but just doing this with the sounds, was taught to me by an energy medicine practitioner about 10 years ago, Eva Gold from Canada. And I'll never forget, because my health was bad. I couldn't do hardly anything. I really couldn't do a lot of exercise. And she just said, just lay in bed and do these sounds. And that's when I got interested and started studying it. So thank you, Eva. The next one, we're going to go over to, so put your hands on the left underneath your chest, on the left side, and just focus on your stomach, your spleen, so on the side, your pancreas. And this is for the emotion of worry. So who hasn't worried here, right? Think of a time, or just tune into your worry that you have right now. And because stomach issues, ulcers, a result of excess worry in some cases. So tune into the worry and talk to your stomach, talk to your spleen and pancreas. And just think, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I allowed myself to worry too much. And I don't, I know that it affects you. So please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And just breathe into those organs. See them smiling. I imagine little smiley faces on on my organs, on the cells of my organs, in the blood of my organs. Okay, remember this is a practice. Oh, the sound. So we're going to go like we're blowing out a candle. The way I remember this is one of my students said, "The wise old owl doesn't worry." So whoo for the owl. The wise old owl doesn't worry. Or the wise owl. Doesn't have to be an old one. I don't like that word, old. Wise is a better word for me. All right, going down to your large intestine and your lungs. So in Chinese medicine, there's like a primary organ, and then the other one is a helper. So large intestine works with the lungs. So place your hands on your lungs. And I like this one. I'm going to do this one, but you could just do this. Your wrists are crossed, your hands are over your lungs. Oh, so tune into your lungs. I had a really terrible respiratory infection that lasted about 5 weeks back in January. My lungs were not happy. So they're still healing. I know that. And I'm focusing, asking forgiveness. I'm sorry for the sadness, the grief. And I don't have that particular emotion right now, but I might have regret, remorse. For me, it's usually regret. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, or wish I did that. So I'm just going to focus on my emotion and just ask my lungs to forgive me. Breathing. The sound is a snake sound, S. Do that again. Thinking, thank you and I love you. Thank you and I love you. And I can almost feel my lungs saying, it's okay. It's okay. Because I just said sorry. I think it's one of the most powerful things we can do to repair relationships with authenticity and sincerity is to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Own it to ourselves too. I'm saying I'm sorry to my lungs. I'm not saying I'm sorry to anyone else. It's to me. This is personal Ho'oponopono. Okay, moving down from the lungs over to the kidneys and bladder. So in my class, we do all of them. We hold the bladder, we hold the kidneys, but we'll just do the kidneys right now. So putting your hand on your kidneys in the back above your waist. Take a deep breath. So kidneys are about the emotion of fear. Tune into a time that you were afraid. It might be really easy to come up with that one. And if not, just say all my fear and talk to your kidneys and say, I'm sorry that I had that emotion, that I let it get out of balance. Remember, emotions are human. They are healthy and normal. If I didn't have fear, I wouldn't know to, protect myself in some way, or, not go out at 3:00 in the morning in the middle of a neighborhood that had crime. So fear is good, but when it gets out of balance, then it might affect your kidneys or bladder. So I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I'm going to focus on my kidneys and say, thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. I love you. I love you. Breathe. So we're moving now to our liver. Your hands are on the right side, liver, gallbladder. Breathe. Oh, I'm sorry, liver, gallbladder, for holding on to that resentment, for feeling overly frustrated. I'm really sorry if it affected you in any way. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. This is your time to talk to your unahipili too, your inner child. Inner child is holding the memories. My liver is holding the memories of all the anger I had when I was a child that I haven't processed. And what I love about this is it's simple. I'm not going to go into this deep talk story therapy or psychoanalysis. I'm just going to do it myself. And I'm just going to say, thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. Those are the most important. And then we come back up to our heart and we're going to talk to, we didn't do the sound. Go back to the sound of the liver. It's shh. So it's kind of calming it. Shh. Breathe in. Shh. So you're comforting your liver, gallbladder. Shh. And then we're going to go up to the heart, which is also works with a couple other organs in here. Pericardium protects the heart, small intestines, and also triple warmer. So that governs your fight flight. Okay, so I'm going to do the sound for triple warmer, which is he. And it's like you're smiling. So take a breath in. One more. Now place your fingertips on your temples. So these are neurovasculars. You could place one on the inside here on the hollow, just lightly, or you could stay here, whatever feels good. And we're going to do the same thing 2 times. Breathe in. Breathe in. And relax. So I already feel a calm. And by acknowledging your organs, by acknowledging the emotion, not trying to push it down, but saying, yeah, I have this fear right now. And it's okay. And it's okay. But I ask your organs to help you balance it. So I think right now we're going to open it up to questions. Oh, wow. Got to put on my glasses for this. So interesting and important to know for our physical, emotional health. Thank you, Raina. Not too many people in the US, mainland US, because we do talk about it in Hawaii, but actually I met a lot of Hawaiian teenagers who didn't know this, and I would lead them in these ceremonies, and I'm not Hawaiian. I worked with Hawaiians who wanted to adopt me into their family because not enough of young people are wanting to learn this. Aloha, Jane and everyone. Okay, let's see. I'm just scrolling down. A lot of thank yous, a lot of love. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. So powerful. And you know what? You can say this in your mind. Whenever I see someone who is definitely out of balance, I could get angry. Sometimes I do. And then eventually I remember to come back to love. I love you. And I'm not saying it to them as much as I'm saying it to inspiration. I'm saying it to source and I'm saying it to my inner child, because it's not my job to heal them, but I'm healing because I came in contact with them. I am now involved and it's now my responsibility. So this style of Ho'oponopono is about taking personal responsibility, which means it might be for your 3-year-old that's having a tantrum. So what inside of you is a 3-year-old having a tantrum? So rather than correcting him, you just go to yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Talking to your inner child. Where's the third eye point that I should put my fingers? Okay, so here are your fingers. It's right between your eyebrows, right there. And that's connected in Chinese medicine with our nervous system and Eden energy medicine, right there. But remember, intention's everything. Fun and doable, absolutely. I'm confused. Is this Hawaiian or Chinese? Very good question, both. So I can't say because I'm not really versed in I've studied La'au Kahea, which is Hawaiian spiritual healing, and I've been introduced to the plant healing and Huna, the spiritual practices, and Ho'oponopono. Now, did they talk about the organs? Yeah. And about the emotions? Yes. But that's when we get more deeper into it. But it's Chinese medicine that I'm connecting it with. So it's really both. Okay, when we smile, I love this. Every cell in our body smiles with us. Yes. Now this friend I know, and she's from Hawaii. She was a school teacher there. Now she's retired. Good for her. Oh, that word retired. Think about it. Tired? Do you really want to be tired? How about rewired? I'm rewiring myself as I get older, or wiser, I start to evolve. Okay, a lot of other compliments. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Let me know. And if you're interested in taking a workshop where we actually get into some deeper levels about Ho'oponopono, and also I'm going to be touching on this again when I talk about releasing emotions, negative. I want to change that word to uncomfortable emotions. So I think I'm doing that this Friday. But check out our page, our White Feather Wellness page. And I also have a website, whitefeatherwellness.com. This is so interesting. Yeah, I saw something come in. Here we go. Thank you. We touched the kidneys and lungs. A bunch of emotions started coming up when we touched that. Thank you for helping me release stuff. And just remember, Marlana and everybody else, that you don't have to remember all this. Just wherever you put your hands, just say, I love you and thank you. You know, touch is so important. And this is why I do this work. And in energy medicine, when we do treatments, we lightly touch places. Sometimes we massage places, and sometimes we work in the energy field, or just hooking up our chakras. I'm going to be talking about that, I think, next week or the week after. So stay tuned. On Tuesdays, it's switching to 10. And on Fridays, it's going to be same time, 2 p.m. And also, if you're watching and you would like to be a special guest, let me know. If it's anything related to health, to healing, and any of these topics that I'm talking about. So I'm really grateful for all of you for tuning in. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. And I look forward to seeing you again. A hui ho till we meet again, and aloha.